In the 2020s, a pandemic crippled the world. Some panicked, some denied it. These two guys stayed home, drank, and watched movies. These are the Jaymeson tapes. Well, got a lot to talk about, but let's start with drinks. What are you drinking?
Um, I'm drinking Kona Big Wave Liquid
Oh,
Aloha Premium Beer.
I have had that before. It is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. What are you having?
I am admittedly being a very, very, very basic bitch right now. I had a very long week. I had to work late. I had to work on Saturday. So I said, fuck it, what do I have laying around? I've got a bunch of Truly from a party I had and some vodka. I'm going to mix those two together. So that's what I'm drinking.
Dope. Well, I can't help but look at the sky and notice that the moon is there and it's getting incredibly closer.
And it keeps reading
Um,
off names at me.
so I guess that means that we watched a movie.
We did watch a movie. It has been a while. We've been both very busy, but I want to say we came back strong, albeit very confused.
This is my first episode on the new computer.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to the laptop I've been bitching about recording on for the past 4 years or so. We did watch a movie. We had a weird one.
I've had Blue Sunshine on the list for a while because I remember watching like the first 5 minutes forever ago and went, "Oh no, this needs to be watched on the tapes. This is perfect." It's old, weird '70s stuff, and little did I know how weird it would get.
It got real weird. So Blue Sunshine is a movie that's maybe anti-drug, but one thing that's not maybe is its star is just a really weird and unpleasant man.
This has to be. We've had We must have had other unlikable protags on this show. We must have. It's not
Um,
common, but it happens.
well, we've had ones that are intentionally unlikable, like we did
Yeah.
Girl on the Third Floor.
Right, right.
But he was supposed to be an asshole.
Yeah, and we understood what like archetypes he was portraying. The Our fucking protag on this movie, I'm still a bit baffled because he's supposed to be portraying someone's perspective, but it's not the audience.
He does so many just unlikable and weird things.
He is a man on the lam and does every possible thing to further implicate and draw suspicion upon himself. But he is trying to get to the bottom of a conspiracy or just like the effects of drugs. By the way, it's an anti-drug movie. We're just going to say that. Whether or not is it making fun of anti-drug movies? Because it's not tongue in cheek enough.
I think it's specifically an anti-acid movie because there was even people who did like regular drugs. There was still that stigma around acid.
Mm-hmm.
Even like hippies who smoked a lot of pot would say that like acid was just gonna like fuck you up forever.
Right.
And I just wanted to note because I pulled up the IMDb that the director of this movie said he directed the star to act strangely throughout the movie so that viewers might think he could be the next killer.
Oh,
That's dumb
that
because
is very dumb.
he says he wished he hadn't given him that direction, especially since he didn't graduate from Stanford like the other killers. Oops.
Oopsie. Wow. Well, that may have been a fuck up, but it
Yeah,
did
I think he
produce
fucked up bad.
a very unique viewing experience for us. Because again, I don't think I've ever had a more unlikable protagonist just because he's so fucking creepy and not serving a point. He's just weird,
Yeah, he's always like every shot of this movie, he's like fidgety and like.
shifty.
So to start off this movie, he's implicated in 3 murders, but then
Mm-hmm.
is responsible for like 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just the one more. But
Sure. Boy, okay. Blue Sunshine, released in 1978, directed by Jeff Lieberman, produced by George Manass.
yep, George
Um,
Manass.
I mean, the start of this movie was strong because, and I'm sure this has happened in other movies, but this is the first one that I can remember. We have opening shots of a blue moon and opening credits, and then we cut to a scene, and then 2 minutes later we cut back to the moon, who's ever closer, quickly throwing credits at us. This happens 3 more times.
Yeah.
And it's just strange.
We get these vignettes throughout the credits of people who are losing hair and acting weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do these like point blank creepy stares into the camera, and then we see the moon again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another thing I just read on the IMDb is the moons were supposed to draw direct parallels to the bald people.
Oh, I thought it was about lunacy. Bald people? Okay.
Yeah. The more I read the trivia for this movie, the more the director didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
What the fuck, Jeff Lieberman?
Let's talk about like palpable mistakes our director made, and I'm just going to start off with the first one. The first one is that apparently he had the opportunity to have Jeff Goldblum in this movie, and he decided against it.
Oh my god. 78 Jeff Goldblum. That would have been incredible.
Apparently, Jeff Goldblum was going to be playing the Doctor, but the director felt that Jeff Goldblum and Zalman King, who plays the main character, looked too much alike.
Sure. I didn't dislike the actor for the Doctor, honestly. I think he did fine.
Yeah.
But that would have been interesting.
So to like real quick say what this movie is about. It's about a drug called Blue Sunshine. It's a strain of acid.
Sure.
That a bunch of people took at a college party like 10 years previously, and 10 years later their hair is falling out and they're killing people.
I mean, that assuming that was true, that would be tragic, but that's like how many people has fentanyl killed and continues to kill? Like one strain at one party affected some people. Again, that is tragic. That's not really damning evidence for your anti-drug movie.
This was just a weird one.
I don't Was he and like I need to focus on the anti-drug angle because if someone's making an anti-drug thing, I'm going to assume that it has direction and subsidization from like the FDA or the LAPD or something. Did Jeff Lieberman just want to make on his entirely of his own volition an anti-acid film? Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Because why? I can see someone making a movie who struggled with alcoholism and then like making a movie about that. I can totally see that. Acid is just its own realm of psychotropic. Like that is so particular.
Okay. So apparently the two children in this movie, the reason they were dubbed so poorly and not in the movie as much as he wanted them to be is because the parents came on the set for the day that like they were being chased around with a knife and pulled them from the film. Hey Jeff.
Oh no.
Hey Jeff. Jeff, buddy.
Jeff. Jeff.
You are bad at movies.
And maybe you did some good ones in the future and you improved, but oh god, how embarrassing. Oh boy.
Like, there's all kinds of rules about like using children on the set of a film. And maybe Jeff Lieberman is the reason those rules are in place because you don't do that.
You know what? That explains why she was moving so incredibly slow and sluggish when everyone else on like when they go into their weird like acid blue sunshine fugue state, they're like erratic and they're throwing people and they're like aggressively going after them. But she was going after kids with what's probably a real knife. And I'm guessing that's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
To get into it, Movie starts with, again, the weird credits. Then we go to a party. There's a guy pretending to be a bird.
Well, okay. We start with a surgeon in a hospital.
Oh, that's right.
Pounding Altoids. It's actually aspirin, but we think they're Altoids. Headcanon. And he talks to a Spanish lady who he says, "You need to make me more Italian cuisine," which is weird. And just has was this scene to imply that to misdirect us that he was on Blue Sunshine at some point?
I actually thought if there's anything in this movie that was handled well, the misdirection with the doctor character was handled decently.
Yeah. Okay. So that happens. And little, I mean, other than the fact that he suffers from headaches, that little else is communicated. And then we go to a wonderful, wonderful 70s hipster party.
Yes. This party is great. There is a dude sitting in a chair like it's a bird's nest and flapping his arms like a bird. He just freaks out and quote unquote flies around the room until he gets shoved down and told to stop.
By the way, this man who thinks he's a bird or thinks he's Rodan from Godzilla is not on drugs, or at least not on Blue Sunshine. Yeah. But we never revisit this. But clearly this man is on something. But that's not important.
We never revisit Birdman.
Shame.
So then, hey, you know that thing when a party stops just so you can listen to one of your friends sing a song?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the middle of the party, everyone gathers around Franny, who starts singing a Frank Sinatra tune. Something happens in the middle of it, and his hair gets pulled off. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So he's bald, save for these little patches, and he just freaks out and runs out of the party.
Everyone's like, well, that was weird.
Well, that was weird. So our main protagonist, Zippo, Jerry Zipkin, steps outside because his girlfriend does so, and she says she needs honey
to quiet her stomach because she's had too much to drink.
So everyone else goes into town to get honey, leaving Jerry Zippo, sorry, alone. Man, Frank Zippo is a great name.
It is.
Just came up with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jerry Zippo, Zipkin, hangs out at the house, outside the house with 3 women from the party who remained at home. And the best kill happens.
Yes.
Because Franny comes back bald and crazy and shoves one of the women into the fire. And the other 2 just watch him do that.
And only after she is completely engulfed in flames do they run up to him to try to stop him.
Don't get up.
Don't help. Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Oh, now you get up. And it is then revealed later when Zippo comes back that he's shoved all 3 of them into the fireplace. So that transpired.
So Zippo just sits there. First he swats at the fire with a pillow.
Out of frustration.
And then he just sits there and watches it like a weirdo.
Yeah.
And it's a troubling thing to see.
Sure.
So then he moves a curtain and Franny is still in there, and Franny starts fighting him. And they fight to the outside, and then they fight to the middle of the road, where two truck drivers are approaching. One of the truck drivers is looking at a cookie and smiling.
Which I assume is like a weed reference.
And anyway, Zippo throws Franny in front of the truck. And 2 murders.
Yeah, no. Or manslaughter at best.
Throws Zippo in front of the truck, and he gets hit by the truck and dies.
Oh, hi there. New editor, Future Alan here. Just wanted to point out that my drunk ass in the past just said that Zippo died. Zippo is the main character and is very much still alive. It was the crazy bald guy who he just killed. That guy's dead. Hope you're enjoying the show. Bye.
One of the truckers, the one who was giggling at a cookie, pulls out a fucking gun and chases Zippo back into the house where there are 3 burning women and clips him in the arm, but Zippo gets away. Zippo gets away to visit his doctor friend. Oh, first we get a scene with a detective asking his girlfriend
right, yeah.
Questions about him, and she says she's not going to say anything without a lawyer present and that this wasn't something he would do, yada, yada, yada.
I love she never gets that lawyer, ever.
Yeah, probably would have been a great idea. So Zippo, who got clipped in the arm, goes to see his doctor friend, who's the doctor who was shown earlier, and gets patched up. Notices that the doctor is losing hair, which I guess he was just going bald. I mean, to do with Blue Sunshine.
No, yeah, like he says this job is very stressful, and I 100% would believe that a surgeon's job is very stressful. Like, yeah, I can get that. He's pounding aspirin like it's fucking Tic Tacs. So yeah, no, that'll make you lose your hair.
Yeah, and then Zippo lies to him about what happened. Said he got clipped by a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Zippo is off to conduct this investigation on his own.
And now that we've like said it out loud, there's no real justification. Like, I get that he's curious and that he wants to know. It's that weird, very rare instance where I kind of want to be told, not shown, because the way our protag goes about investigating just feels so incredibly arbitrary and just spastic.
Yeah.
Like, he's just kind of stumbling through his investigation with little rhyme or reason.
I guess in the end you can't argue with results, but everything he does is fucking baffling.
We'll get to the end. We'll get to that.
God, yeah, the ending is going to be its whole own discussion.
Oh my god.
So Zippo goes about investigating. He investigates a recent murder in town where a guy went crazy and killed his family.
Oh yeah, so one of our introductory vignettes is we should talk about this because it's great. There's a wife sitting at a table in her home with like a sheriff or something, and she's yelling at her kids because they want more pudding, and she laid that out for her husband, and the kids have a giant fucking parrot, and she's having a discussion saying like, he's not coming home on time and he's drunk all the time and isn't my fault. And the man across from her saying like, no, that's bullshit. Maybe he's just not cut out for being a cop. And then husband arrives looking real pale and pissed off. And the man excuses himself and the parrot alights on his shoulder and says, hello, Johnny. That parrot is fucking awesome.
So
and that was that vignette.
So kind of the inspiration Zippo has to actually investigate this and figure out what's going on is he passes by someone reading a newspaper, and the newspaper says that a dude freaked out and killed his family, and the dude on the cover of the newspaper is bald.
I want to address something that was brought up.
Sure.
I think it's the lieutenant. No, not the lieutenant. It was like his investigator buddy says, well, Zippo, like, I don't have a read on this guy. He graduated top of his class from not Stanford, Yale. I think it was Yale. And he can't hold a job. And this is like, so much of this shit has throwaway lines. One of the throwaway lines is he worked for a firm and then quit because they wouldn't hire enough women, which is just feels like now weird lip service to the feminist movement of the time. Like, I thought that was going to come into play later. It doesn't. It's just a thing. But it's like they said that to be like, oh, he's smart. He went college good. But he's not did he go for criminal science? Like, it's just kind of strange. But yeah, I guess he's just driven to find out what happened to his friend, I suppose.
So, yeah. No, that's the very little we find out about Zippo's background.
Mm-hmm.
First, he goes to the neighbor of the cop who killed his family, and just bothers the shit out of her until she tells him basically what happened. And then, in a very weird scene, he goes to that house, the active crime scene, and just walks in and looks around, and it has weird flashbacks to the murder
That he didn't witness, that he's imagining in his weird empath mind. Yeah.
And he's just like in there screaming at the top of his lungs and pretending to beat up the murderer.
I'm gonna posit something here. This feels, and I made multiple mentions to David Lynch movies during our viewing because I couldn't help it. But did Jeff Lieberman rip off David Lynch? Or was David Lynch influenced by Jeff Lieberman? Because it's real hard to ignore.
This movie came out in 1978.
Yeah. When did Blue Velvet come out?
Yeah, Blue Velvet was 1986.
1986.
This it doesn't really track. Eraserhead came out in 1977.
True. But I mean, Eraserhead was just so like I wouldn't compare those two, but like
that was kind of his first big movie.
Yeah, like I don't know, there's just so many. There's so many weird nods, or at least it feels like nods, and there's just the Blue Sunshine feels like a David Lynch movie that isn't aware that it's a David Lynch movie. That's the best way I can describe this, because David Lynch leans into like how fucking weird your characters are, and like when you realize it's a David Lynch movie, you're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm expecting weirdness. This one, I just don't know what's happening. I don't understand the motivations. I don't understand why my protagonist is acting the way he does. It's so weird.
So I think it's in this house that Zippo, first he finds the bird.
Mm-hmm.
The bird says Blue Sunshine. And then he finds a picture of Ed Fleming.
Oh, shit. Okay, Ed Fleming. Back again to the vignettes, which I am realizing now are actually really important. We have a small vignette of a babysitter watching two kids, and those two kids she's reading Rapunzel to them, and suddenly like the TV's on in the background, and the background then shows an ad for the congressional campaign for Ed Fleming, and it is revealed through dialogue that her and Ed Fleming were married. They're separated, not divorced, but they're separated, and he's running for Congress on subsidizing healthcare, fighting homelessness, and other things. Just talking points, essentially.
If he finds a picture of Ed Fleming in the house of the cop who killed his family, but it's Ed Fleming like with sunglasses and flowing blonde hair and all distorted, like it's a.
Oh no, that's at that's at Franny's studio.
Oh right.
No, what he finds at the house is just bodies, tape cutouts, silhouettes. Yeah, and then the bird says Blue Sunshine, which how would the bird know about Blue Sunshine?
I don't know.
This bird that would not have been alive back when they were all doing Blue Sunshine just knows about it. Okay, cool. Oh, Jeff Lieberman. Anyway, okay, so he hops in his Ford Bronco.
Oh yes, his girlfriend gets him transportation, and it's a Ford Bronco. And
we're skipping over many a scene where he and his girlfriend just meet up and like have a bunch of just talking about how things. It doesn't matter.
She's like, hey, maybe like talk to the police about what's going on because you're making yourself look more guilty. And he's like, bullshit. And then he punches an old lady and like pisses all over a crime scene. And like, not really, but basically.
At one point, he's like in broad daylight, hiding behind a post box, and just leering outside one of the congressional headquarters for Ed Fleming. And then walks in later and just be like, where's Ed Fleming? Not here. I'm his friend. Where's Ed Fleming? in the most suspicious way possible. It's fucking hilarious.
And Ed Fleming's weakness as an antagonist is, we've discovered, that if you ask to talk to him, he has to.
Oh boy. Okay, so he leaves. How does this link? He leaves the house. He knows the term blue sunshine, and then where does he go? What does he do?
I feel like Freddy's studio is like right after this.
Yeah, no, he goes there. You're right, and that's where he sees the distorted picture of Ed Fleming. He also sees.
Oh yeah, the Uncle Sam poster they focus on for way too long.
Was that Ed Fleming as Uncle Sam flipping the bird?
Was it?
Maybe. Like I think that was the focus of him, of his like whatever his art installation was going to be. I could be wrong.
Anyway, so now he has Blue Sunshine to look after. So he goes to meet Ed Fleming, and Ed Fleming is there with his right-hand man / bodyguard
/ goon
/ goon, Wayne Mulligan. And Wayne Mulligan is a big brick shithouse of a man.
Yeah.
Also clearly wearing a wig. I feel like we should bring that up. So many of the surprises about who is taking Blue Sunshine are ruined because so many people in this movie are clearly wearing wigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reveal is always, oh hell, they're bald.
Yeah, we know.
Which maybe should have been our first indication that the doctor was fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we're looking this in like high def now, do you think that this would have been less obvious in its original format?
Possibly.
I don't know.
But also, the filmmaker is like really weird, and like there's more weird stuff on the IMDb that I haven't gotten to yet, but we'll get.
I haven't even looked at it because I want you to I want to be surprised.
Wait, just settle into a quick one.
I'm gonna divert you very, very briefly. Pineapple Truly plus vodka makes my burps taste like Big League Chew.
Oh.
Who knew? Anyway.
Apparently a lot of the IMDb stuff on here says according to director Jeff Lieberman.
Jesus.
So
I mean,
take this all with a grain of salt. He said that New York music clubs such as CBGB's would often use the disco scene of the film as a backing visual, just because everyone was so anti-disco and it was just a guy murdering a bunch of disco goers.
Oh God, yeah. Who did I listen to? I think it was Frank JFC back in the day when he still posted to YouTube. But everyone's like, yeah, a bunch of people burned a bunch of disco records, and Frank rightfully points out that was like the only music that queer people had and minorities had back in the day. And no, that's like cool. You burned a bunch of shit you bought, but anyway, happy Pride Month.
Also, Jeff, man,
Jeff,
the guy who plays the police officer at the beginning of the film was originally supposed to play the cop that pursues him throughout the film.
The lieutenant.
But he sustained a serious wound to his leg during the film. And
Jesus. Doing what? He's in like 2 scenes.
I don't know.
No, he's in 1 scene. He interviews the girlfriend, Alicia, and then sits in the car with the lieutenant and says, I don't know, this guy's erratic. What did he do?
Just a lot of confusing stuff happening in this movie.
It's kind of great. It's a beautiful train wreck.
So where were we? He goes to talk to Fleming.
Yes.
And asks Fleming about Blue Sunshine, and Fleming claims to not know anything. Zippo sees a cop is there and gets away in his Ford Bronco.
In a rather exciting chase scene where the cop is trying to, pull ahead and spin out and gun him down, and Zippo just turns onto the side of the road and then hops a fucking bridge essentially in his Ford Bronco.
Pretty much.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like that scene.
So he goes to visit First, he goes to visit the doctor again. And that's when they find out he's fine, right?
He goes to visit the doctor again. He goes to the front desk, and the nurse says, "Oh, he's in OR5." And he watches a little bit of the operation, and they pull out 7,500 scalpels and forceps and put them on a table.
They're on the table. There are 2 scalpels and like 85 forceps.
Which I don't know what the procedure they're doing, but it felt excessive. Maybe, and we're not doctors.
And I don't know if I misheard, but there is a point during the surgery where I can swear he asks for a scalpel and they hand him forceps.
Which is funny because at later points he says, like, "Give me that." No, I said that. But they don't correct it then. But anyway.
He seems to be like really stressed out, and like the scene is very, very tense. Because he's performing surgery on this woman, and he's just getting more and more frustrated. And we all think, oh, he's gonna have a blue sunshine freak out.
Yeah.
But then it cuts to him showing up to talk to Zippo. Everything's fine. And this is where he confesses he used to sell acid back at Stanford.
Well, and this is the scene where he's hiding in the doctor's like private office, hiding in the closet, and I'm like, this really feels like that David Lynch movie, and pops out, and then scares the shit out of him. And yeah, you're right. He interviews him and says, "Oh yeah, no, we used to deal. Me and Ed used to deal Blue Sunshine back in the day, but I never took it. I just needed it to get through med school, and I owe him some favors because blah 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 blah." And he pops out. Our protag pops out of the closet, grabs the surgeon by the hair to yank on it, not being suspicious at all. And he even says, "Look, I've heard about you on the fucking news."
Zippo then apologizes that while he was in his closet, he took like his suit jacket.
He did, yeah. With the world's worst tie.
That's such a bad tie.
So bad.
Zippo is at some point wearing a tie that looks like it was made from like an old washcloth.
Yeah, it's bad.
So Zippo,
he makes the connection that they sold Blue Sunshine back in the day, and that's what's making everybody, number one, go bald, number two, kill people. Which, and then they just throw out the concept of extensive chromosomic aberrations, and with like it is akin to fucking technobabble of it would fuck with your chromosomes. Why? It just does. It's acid. Okay.
The other important thing is while he's visiting it at this point, Zippo asks him if he can get his hands on fucking tranquilizer.
Medical like strength tranquilizers and barbiturates, yeah.
And he says, like, I'll see what I can do, but probably not. And that's when Zippo goes to visit Fleming's wife.
The babysitter.
Who is a babysitter. She's chomping on aspirin, clearly wearing a wig, but a wig that has gotten shorter than the previous wigs. And she is babysitting these 2 kids, and the children are annoying the living shit out of her and giving her a headache. So there's a pretty effective scene here. Yeah. She's having her freak out, and she's trying to get the lid off of the aspirin. She finally does, and she's literally just like putting aspirin after aspirin in her mouth and chomping them until they're powder and powder falling out of her mouth. Decent scene.
No, yeah, like we actually just kind of stopped talking during that, and we're just kind of just letting it play out. It was and the ADR from the children has a delay on it, and it's just like overwhelming. And just very very well done. Like that's the tough thing about this movie, because I know we're shitting on it, but it is fascinating. It has some good cinematography. When it's working well, it's very compelling, but it's just very poorly constructed in a lot of different areas.
This is a solid 6 out of 10 movie with a bunch of really weird shit going on.
Yeah, like I know Nikki Jakey just come out with that video about in defense of 7 out of 10 games, and I feel like this is exactly that for movies. Like this is a watch this movie. It's very interesting. It's not good, but it's enjoyable just to consume.
So before she has her freak out, actually, Zippo is over there and asking a bunch of questions about
In the
Fleming.
creepiest
Yeah.
fucking way possible. He like knocks on the door, and the kid's mother is there, and she just excuses herself, and he's just inching slowly toward her, looking sweaty as all fuck. And they eventually make their way back to the kitchen, and he's just pressing her about Blue Sunshine, and she like basically admits to it. And then when she realizes that he's like, she claims that he's trying to implicate Eddie, the congressman, and he says like, no, I'm not. And she's right. Sorry, she's wrong, because he's not trying to do well. Neither here nor there. He just wants to get, find out what happened to his friend. But she starts distrusting him, which is intelligent. And I wouldn't trust this fucker if he showed up in my fucking door. And then like shoos him out. And then he goes and creeps on some people in the fucking elevator.
Yeah, elevator scene's real weird. Because
So much of this. Like whenever our pro tag is alone with like secondary or tertiary characters, it's just uncomfortable.
He gets on the elevator to go back down to the main floor because he's been kicked out essentially for being a weirdo. And he rides it to the ground floor, and then he just stands there. And then some dude with a dog and an old lady get on the elevator, so he just decides to stay on the elevator going back up with them.
And we have like cuts to her slow breakdown and eventual like succumbing to Blue Sunshine, but there's no real justification shown for him to stay there. Like, unless the justification is the elevator was crowded and it went back up, which would imply that he just never got off, which doesn't make any sense. So literally, it was just there to be like, oh no, he's back on the floor again.
Well, he's doing elevator shenanigans. She's losing her mind, and finally yanks what's left of her hair off. I don't know if it's supposed to be a wig at this point.
I think it was a wig. I think it was always a wig.
I know it was literally always a wig, but it's supposed to have been implying that her hair was falling out.
Well, that's the other problem. We don't like have a good establishment of how much time passes between scenes, because there is a scene that we skipped over because it's not super important, but she talks to her friend about how her hair's falling out, and her friend is doing her best to console her about, oh, well, you're stressed. You just need to get laid because Cosmo told me that. And like, you're stressed about your divorce and all this stuff. And that is a scene we spend a lot of time on, and then a bunch of other scenes happen. So between that scene and Protag showing up to interview her or investigate her, we have no idea how much time has passed. But I can like just, I understand that she got a wig in between them because she was sick of her hair falling out. But that's me being very, very lenient with this movie.
Anyway, then she grabs a knife and starts chasing the kids around, which apparently...
It's a real knife.
Wendy is chasing kids around with a knife.
Slowly, awkwardly, because it's
very,
a real
very
knife.
Slowly and awkwardly. That's when Zippo shows back up, hears the screaming from behind the door, very quickly uses his American Express card to jimmy the lock open.
It wasn't even an Amex card, but it doesn't matter. Headcanon.
And then he starts tussling with Wendy in the apartment. Eventually, just straight up Ricky Steamboat hip tosses her over the balcony.
4 stories down and fucking kills her.
And she is dead.
And bear in mind, Jeff Lieberman, you could have played that scene any way you wanted to. He could have subdued her or something. She was being very sluggish. You chose to have our protag, who is on the lam, trying to prove his innocence, throwing a woman off a fucking balcony.
In the process, he gets the knife from her. And the neighbor comes. This was peak. This was peak Zippo. Because the neighbor comes over and Zippo has the knife, and he and the knife are covered in blood. And she starts to scream, And instead of being like, I didn't do anything or anything like that and trying to explain, he runs over to her, still with the knife in his hands, puts his bloody hand over her mouth and goes, shut up, shut up!
There are multiple other scenes in the movie where he just yells, I didn't kill anybody!
Just wipes blood all over her face. And then
There's
just
so much
bolts out the
commingling
door.
of DNA, it's hilarious.
Then he just bolts out the door. So, yeah, that's Zippo, everybody.
Oh, that's our pro tag. Wait, am I wrong in recounting that after this scene he goes to buy a fucking gun?
He sure does. Zippo's girlfriend keeps getting flirted with by Wayne
Meathead
Mulligan,
McFuckface.
who looks like a big toddler with a bowl cut.
Yeah.
I said he kind of looks like Jodan Baker, but like a beefier Jodan Baker.
Yeah.
She tells Wayne Mulligan, who hates loud noises, like, while she's talking to Wayne, like, cars pass by and, like, are honking, and he was like, I hate car noises!
It's pretty great. I don't know how you exist in LA and not just go insane on a daily basis, but hey, whatever.
Then he's like, well, anyway, hey, Fleming's gonna have a rally at this shopping mall. If you would like to meet me there at the Big Daddy Disco.
Big Daddy Discotheque. Oh, yeah. Man. Delicious.
If you're ready for another fun fact, that was originally a country western bar.
Oh.
The disco for the film's climax was actually a country western bar in Los Angeles that was converted to look like a discotheque. At the time of shooting, the disco craze hadn't yet reached the West Coast.
Huh. Interesting.
So everything with the mall is fantastic for the most part.
It is peak cult 70s nonsense. I love it.
And we mentioned this during the film. Not to throw more shade at Chopping Mall, which is maybe our most.
Yeah.
If we have a controversial episode of this show, it's Chopping Mall.
Yeah.
We didn't like it. Sorry.
Sorry.
This movie in its final third utilizes a shopping mall as a setting like 10 times better than Chopping Mall ever did.
And it's weird, and maybe we just don't understand Chopping Mall, but like it just feels like in this movie the characters are organically going through a mall. And that's not what I felt in Chopping Mall. It's strange. It's very strange, and that's all I'll say.
So, as has been previously mentioned on UCA in this show, I have a phobia of puppets. Mm-hmm. So the scariest thing to happen to me happen in this movie, in my opinion, were that at at the political rally, Fleming's, I guess you'd say, opening act?
Well, okay, so we need to back up real briefly. In the first scene with Ed Fleming, when Protag goes to visit him, like one of his attendants says, hey, do you want a puppet show or do you want something else? And he just says, nothing political. And we were like, oh, okay, whatever. Apparently the puppet show wasn't political, and that actually was going to happen. That actually was set up and pay off. That was strange. But it's
of all the things to pay off.
A fucking puppet show.
There were puppets of they said Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
Lip syncing to some tunes.
Very poorly lip syncing to tunes.
And all while Ed Fleming is just like taking notes. In my brain, he was like taking notes about how the puppet show was going.
It's such a strange, like, granted, I have not been to a political rally ever in my life. I've participated in protests, but I've never been in a political rally. I cannot, and maybe this was a 70s thing, I don't know. I can't imagine going to a political rally for a congressional campaign at a mall opened by a puppet show. That is just a weird conglomeration of things to do. That is so strange. And I don't know if it's like that was the, at the time that's what was done, or if that's just Blue Sunshine. I don't know.
From there, we go to Big Daddy Discotheque.
Hell yeah.
Oh, before we get there, we have to talk about Zippo buying a gun. Zippo buys a pellet gun that has been modified to shoot darts.
Yeah.
And the guy selling him this dart gun is a weird dart gun fetishist.
Fucking gun fetishist. Yeah.
Who's just like pitching him like how the gun works, and he's like, you gotta pump it, but you don't want to jerk it.
If you jerk it, it won't work it. Hold the baby. Lower the baby slowly. Well, that was great because, like, okay, so yeah, he shows him how it works and shoots it in this target that's like just down the like 20 feet from the cash register, which that's not how fucking gun shops work. I've been in one. That's not what they do. And then Protag wants to try it himself, and the camera pivots back to the gun target, and there's just a cop leaning over the counter 2 feet from the gun target, and he doesn't shoot him. And my first thought was like, the cop, what the fuck are you doing? Also, what is this fucking gun shop? It was weird.
I'm gonna go back and check.
Mm-hmm.
Because something just took this to a new level for me.
Okay.
We have here yet another movie. Maybe we weren't paying attention, but as far as I can tell, the end credits of this movie claimed that it was based on a true story.
Was it?
It can't be.
I was so disarmed by that ending that I barely read the ending credits. Like, I was just so taken aback.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Apparently, there is this movie is based on true events disclaimer at the end of the film.
What events? MK Ultra?
Maybe. I don't know.
Wait. No. Because that would imply that the CIA or the government... Wait, no. 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 Because that would imply that Ed Fleming knew what Blue Sunshine was, but all the movie said was that he just was dealing it to get money in college. Like, for all that, it implicates Ed Fleming in selling Blue Sunshine, but he didn't know. All it said was people were just making that in fucking chemistry class. Like, that's what's fucked up about this anti-drug movie, is that the people who sold it were just completely unaware of how bad it was. They didn't fucking know. They didn't care. They just wanted some quick money. It wasn't the fucking CIA crafting Blue Sunshine to make people fucking killers. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. What the fuck? Hold on. Oh no.
So, Jeff.
Oh no. Jeff,
Anyway.
what have you done?
Hi everyone, Future Alan here. I hope you're still enjoying the episode in this bit. I did as I said in the episode and looked into this a little bit further, and it turns out Jeff Lieberman is kind of a liar. According to Wikipedia, he devised the story for Blue Sunshine after his brother, a physician, told him of accounts of people suffering nervous breakdowns associated with LSD they had taken years prior. So, it's kind of true in the sense that acid flashbacks exist, but I don't feel like that's enough to throw on this is based on a true story. Because it's not. Anyway, let's get back to the episode.
So, Zippo gets the tranquilizer from the
God,
doctor.
that scene.
And in the park, where a cokehead approaches him and gives him money to score drugs for him.
Well, we have to set that up because I forget what happens prior to that scene. It's horrific and intense, and then it just cuts to Jeff sitting on top of the bench, not on the bench, but on top of the bench, with his head in his hands, just utterly distraught. And then a junkie comes up and is like, "Hey man, score me some money for some cigarettes." And then a bald dude who clearly is suffering from Blue Sunshine just shows up, and the junkie's like, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And then that scene happens, and then he looks over and he notices surgeon Dr. David Bloom, and says, "Oh shit, there he is. Here's a bunch of money. Go score my drugs for me so I don't have to do it." And then he goes over and gets the barbiturates.
Yeah, just confusing.
And
maybe that was supposed to be here's how drugs affect people. Don't do them.
I guess. Sure.
And I think I'll say in this film defense, I don't think it's an anti-drug movie so much it is explicitly an anti-acid movie. Because there was a lot of panic about acid at the time.
Sure. I just we'll talk about that in the postmortem.
Acid had a full-on bath salts reputation back then.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah.
Zip forward. Zippo is in the parking lot of the mall, applying barbiturates to the tips of his darts.
That is sort of the best scenes because he's in his car. He has a lighter. He has what looks like a gun, and he's like burning the edges of the fucking darts and applying this strange liquid to it. It's just the most suspicious fucking action I can think of. It's so incriminating.
Bonkers.
It's great.
His girlfriend goes to meet up with Wayne Mulligan at Big Daddy Discotheque. Yeah. And we have to talk about the music in the discotheque briefly. Was it Get Your Funky Funk? Was that the lyrics?
Funky Funk was incorporated. It was about achieving funky funk.
Is this song I Need Me Some Funky Funk? Is that what they're saying?
It's the 70s. I'm sure that's exactly what they're saying. Ed Fleming needs him some funky funk.
I'm Ed Fleming. I need some funky funk.
I think America needs some funky funk.
The first song that's playing repeatedly says something about get your funky funk, or here's some funky funk, or have that funky funk. But funky funk is the thing that keeps getting repeated.
If you don't know what like funk is and what disco is, like this is the song that you would make up. It's just funky funk. Yeah, whatever. That's what they like. It was hilarious.
The other song that plays repeatedly says Disco Fever. I love it.
Yep.
But Funky Funk is by far the best.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely
the best tune in Big Daddy Discotheque. So she meets up with Wayne Mulligan, who's sitting at the bar and sweating. Hates how loud it is there in the discotheque, and excuses himself to go to the restroom. While that's happening, this woman like downs 4 martinis.
It's hilarious.
Because we counted. She orders a vodka martini with 2 olives.
Yes.
And she's asked the cop to meet her there, and she's told the cop she will either A, have proof that her what's-his-face is innocent, or B, she'll help them find Zippo.
Yeah.
But when the cop arrives there, she says that the guy went to the bathroom 20 minutes ago, and she's got a fresh martini on the table, as well as a cup that has 8 olives in it.
So she has just been pounding martinis for over 20 minutes. That's not a long time. Like, she is sloshed.
And she's acting pretty drunk, and it cuts to the bathroom where the police officer approaches the guy and talks to him and asks him a few questions. He accidentally gets his wig pulled off, freaks out, starts beating the shit out of the guy, runs rampant through the discotheque in an incredible scene.
It's great.
Just starts beating the hell out of people in the disco.
Throws a woman.
Full-on gorilla press slams a woman. Just goes on a rampage in the disco. Everyone is running out of the disco. So Zippo sees that and figures that's where he needs to go. But he's stopped by Fleming, who accuses him of being a murderer and stuff. And Zippo condenses everything he needs to say to Fleming in like a half second.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're so pussy, that wife,
just exposition dumps in rapid succession.
Chases after Wayne Mulligan. They're kind of cat and mousing their way through a shopping mall. And again, just great use of the setting.
Yeah.
So where we now have to stop complimenting the use of the setting and the movie and this whole final third, which was pretty great, is Zippo lays low in an aisle. And
the Hallmark aisle.
And waits
Flanked by fucking greeting cards.
Waits for Wayne Mulligan to come to him. Repeats all the pervy stuff that guy at the shop said about aiming the gun. And then Wayne Mulligan comes to attack him. And Zippo shoots him with a tranquilizer dart. He passes out. We get a really cool zoom out shot through
the aisle, essentially.
The aisle. And then that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, then it ends, and we're like, oh, is this gonna, show Ed Fleming on the other end, and we're gonna get like a big reveal about government's involvement in Blue Sunshine, or just something, just anything? No. It then cuts to fucking dare levels of drugs bad.
If I'm reading now, the on-screen epilogue says that they tested Wayne and that he had extensive chromosomic aberrations and was confined to a sanitarium, and that 255 doses of Blue Sunshine were still unaccounted for, and then that's it. That's it. Text on based on a true story.
What true story? I would love to know, because I don't believe that. That's the end.
Yeah.
We don't know what to make of it either.
Overall, enjoyed the film, but maybe the worst ending we've ever seen on this show.
It's just the most anticlimactic thing. Because we were wondering when we were watching it, what's your plan, Zippo? Like, you're going to trank him, and then what? Like, what does that prove? How are you gonna drag him to the cops who were looking for you? And it turns out there is no plan. It's just, I need to trank a dude, and then the movie's going to end. That would be nice if we were rooting for our protag, but I certainly wasn't, because that man is a creep.
Yeah.
So
worse than Melting Man, which I think was previously our worst ending.
Pretty much. At least Melting Man ended with a very, very, very good practical effects scene. This just zoomed out and ended.
Yep.
It's like he didn't know how to end this movie.
It really does feel like that. Based on a true story. Based on a true story.
What story? What story? Did this happen elsewhere? Did people go crazy for massive flashbacks and murder people? Did that happen? Are you just putting that in your movie?
I guess we have to make a cocktail now.
Well, it's blue, so blue curacao is going to have to factor in here.
I was about to say our hard mode thing is we have to not use blue curacao.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
And my solution to that was, have you ever had butterfly pea flower tea?
No, I have not.
So butterfly pea flower tea is tea of the butterfly pea flower, as I may have implied by saying it. And it is a really rich blue color.
Okay.
I think if you just use that for coloring, it's similar. It tastes similar to green tea.
Okay.
So I don't know if it would taste very good in a martini.
Probably not.
Let's see. As far as beverages that get mentioned in the film, there is vodka martini with 2 olives. The children scream about how they want Dr. Pepper at some point.
Yeah, they do. You got to be careful with tea. Like, what other than like a hot toddy?
Well, it tastes like green tea, so it's probably pretty okay cold.
Okay. So a cold blue tea. I mean, I don't think it has to be really complicated. It just has to look blue and be very insistent.
So if we make butterfly pea flower tea and mix vodka, and I'm going to say lemonade.
Okay. Yeah, like a blue lemonade. Okay.
But you have to dissolve an Altoid in it. And that'll be the aspirin.
Yes, absolutely. Throw some mint in there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So just a minty blue Arnold Palmer kind of.
And you also have to shave your head and wear a wig.
That's the other part of it.
There you go.
So
that's the blue sunshine.
That's the blue sunshine. Spider Room moment.
Oh, boy. That's tough. Because there's so many bewildering moments in this movie. That is really tough. I think for me, it's when Alicia has locked herself inside of the DJ booth, and Meathead can't break it because that's like an important prop that they can't break. So he's just like lightly tapping on the walls.
Yeah. We established this guy as like a linebacker and he's like super powerful, but he's just like kind of like helplessly swatting at this DJ booth like a cat needing to be let back in.
It's great, yeah. That was very funny to me. I'm sure there's others, but that's the one that stands out the most.
I already mentioned mine, and it's probably the hardest I laughed at the film. But it is definitely Zippo with the knife running up to that woman and just smearing blood on her face before running away.
Stop talking!
Shut up! Shut up! I'm not a murderer! Bye!
There's just so many weird scenes. Our protag is so fucking weird.
So I also wanted to, as an addendum, mention that I've seen other films this guy has directed.
Right.
One is Remote Control, which is like 10 years later.
Wow.
And is basically, it's listed on the IMDb. I didn't remember much about it, but it's basically an unofficial remake. But instead of LSD causing people to kill, it's videos.
Oh, okay. I like that a lot better.
So who knows? Maybe we'll watch Remote Control. I don't remember much of it.
I would be down just to see if he corrected all of his mistakes between that one and this one.
But he also directed a movie I've seen because it was on an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 called Squirm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you can tell it was directed by him, having seen this movie, but it's a worse movie.
Oh no! Oh no!
There's like, it's about worms that get struck by lightning and start eating people.
Awesome. That's right up there with Ticks. That's great. We might have to watch Ticks, by the way, with Seth Green.
Anyway, yeah. We might watch Remote Control. I don't think we're going to watch Squirm.
Maybe not.
I highly recommend the MSC3K episode of Squirm to anyone listening, but otherwise, don't bother. And yeah, that's Jeff Lieberman. He's weird. Also, the star of this film was also a director who mostly went on to direct a bunch of erotica.
Boy, am I not surprised.
But yeah, that was that movie. Thanks for listening. I know it's been a while. How are you doing? How you been? Yeah. Please subscribe to the Creative Horror Patreon. Lots of cool stuff over there. Lots of cool update stuff coming over there. And that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. Sorry, I'm 6 beers deep.
Yeah, we're drunk. We have to go record UCA after this.
That's gonna be great. But hey, leave us a like and a comment. Give us some engagement.
Give us some love.
That's what the algorithm likes. Even if you have nothing to say about movie, just say, hey, I like your podcast. It's pretty cool.
Say hello. Ask us questions. We're an open book.
Joe Lieberman apparently also directed a movie in 2004 called Satan's Little Helper.
You called him Joe Lieberman. His name is Jeff Lieberman.
Jeff Lieberman. And I just opened up the IMDb page and oh no. It looks bad on the level that one movie we watched with Corpse Baby or Coffin Baby did.
Oh no, really?
Anyway, that's our show. Bye.
Bye. The Jaymeson Tapes is hosted and created by Alan Cheney and Abysme. If you have a movie suggestion for the podcast, please leave a comment, message us on the Creative Horror Discord, or tweet at Creative Horror with the hashtag Jaymeson Tapes. Creative Horror is a network of creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. Please visit us at creativehorror.com. This is my weird cowboy girlfriend.
I need me some funky funk. I'm gonna wash my balls.
I'm in ball soup right now.